gentlemen, I have something to share. It's not about global warming or some war somewhere. No, this is a lighter affair. I'll tell you a story imagined out of thin air. Hear this, the tale of a poor, pitiful king. Wanted to marry, but the fool had no ring. He proposed to a princess without much of a fuss, but the princess, so vain, would not have it thus. And so she announced, with a haughty air so pronounced, "Deny me not a wedding band, or suffer the grief of never having my hand." So the king mustered all his resources, immediately gathered all of his horses, and scoured the land until he found a wedding band. But alas and alack, it was of tin. Nevertheless, the magnanimous king proposed to the princess again. He brought a dozen of his finest men and sought the beautiful princess. "O lovely princess, suffer my love and marry me. Pray do accept this ring I have found," he beseeched as he fell on his knee. The princess was appalled, so shocked was she that she seemed to be bolted to the ground. "Do not insult me, for a ring made of tin would be an absolute sin." And so once again she sent him off on this quest, and again the king strived to do his very best and managed to find a ring of copper. He brought it to the princess, hoping to win her over. But all she said was, "That's most definitely not proper. I refuse to marry a pauper." And so the king set off once more on his lofty quest. He searched the kingdom east and west, north and south, everywhere he went, determinedly refusing to relent. In the forest one day, as he was making his way, he chanced upon a mynah bird at play. The king, quite hungry, decided right then to eat the mynah hen. But as he drew up his sword, the mynah upward soared, and then it began to speak. "My king, do spare my life. I am a mother and wife, but do tell me what it is you seek." So he told the wild bird his story, of course, peppered with additions of glory. And when he was done, so said the mynah, "Your Highness must travel to China." So the king went on his way. He traveled a year and a day until he reached the other side of the globe, to the place where people wore magnificent robes. Never losing sight of his target, he went straight to the market to find his princess a suitable ring, not made of copper or tin. In the market were all sorts of things, from everyday items to objects you would never imagine. So he looked and he looked until he finally found a merchant selling rings abound. He sold rings that were round, he sold rings that made sound, he even sold rings made from the hide of a hound. But most exquisite of all, and when he said this he stood tall, is the ring made from minerals found in the ground. Now the king, he had traveled the 7 seas. Naturally, of course, he could speak Chinese. And so he began to bargain the price. He hadn't much with which to pay. He had no possessions or coins or rice. It's no wonder at all, for he did, after all, travel a whole year and a day. All he had were his 7 fine horses, each one of them a trusty steed, capable of running at mighty speeds. To part with them would be difficult indeed. But to have the princess as wife, he'd give up his own life. And so he traded them with a great huge sigh to procure the finest ring money could buy. After obtaining the ring, he returned to the land of which he was king. But it took much longer than a year and a day, because he traded his horses away. So he traveled by foot for many a mile, thinking only of the princess the whole while. Now the king thought he'd finally found the ring that would have the princess spellbound. But when he got back, so much had changed. Everything to him seemed a bit strange. Somehow, he sensed that something was wrong. Perhaps it's because he'd been away for too long. He wasn't too bothered, nevertheless, but made his way straight to the princess. He went to her castle, but she wasn't there. Strangely enough, it was completely bare. So with great despair, he went to his own and saw the princess there, sitting on his throne. "Princess, why are you here?" Kneel in my presence. You are not my peer. I'm no longer princess. I am now queen. Absent for so long. Where have you been? But princess, the king began. Before he could go on, she stopped the man. I am not a princess. I am the queen. For the country needed a leader, and you were nowhere to be seen. I'll tell you where I've been. I've searched the whole world to find you a ring, said the overthrown king, as he presented the ring to the queen. At this the queen laughed. Surely you jest. The only reason I made such a request is so that you vacate the throne, and I could claim it for my own. How silly of you to assume, to have the audacity to presume, to make me your queen with a ring of gold. Certainly you realize that you're too old. And just to be clear, the only ring I ever wanted was really quite near. But if I asked, it would have never been granted. For it was the royal seal for which I yearned, which now I feel I've deservingly earned. And with that, she said, nice lovely chat. Now off with his head, and with the king dead, long live the queen, the cunningest queen the world had seen. I hope you've enjoyed this wondrous tale. I urge you to remember it without fail. You see, it's not always like this, but look around you and you will see people like this do exist, eager to fool the likes of you and me.